Hello and welcome everybody to another live broadcast of GameGuru Max, live broadcast number 55. That's right, we're rattling through these broadcasts now, and this week I want to show you some more functionality. As you might recall from previous broadcasts, did quite a lot of broadcasts on assets. We're by no means finished with assets, but I want to switch over and show you some functionality that I've been working on. And this week it is the turn of something a little bit different, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. But before I talk anymore, I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. I took advice from some chat last week which says you can switch off the microphone for the standby screen, and I hope I haven't switched off everything. So obviously people could probably hear the music. Can you hear my voice? We can hear you. Thank you very much, Synchro62. So I will continue on the vein that everyone can hear me speak and not just listen to my sound effects. So I'm going to switch over to... This is unusual because this isn't GameGuru Max I'm going to show you. This is the auto updater. So I'm going to launch this auto updater via the software. Now anyone who doesn't know what the auto updater is, you will get a prompt if there's an update available, but if you want to find out, you know, if you've got latest version, go into help, check for updates, and you'll get a screen looks like this. Now anyone who's familiar with the auto updater will know that ain't my auto updater. What is that? Well, that is something that we brought forward. We always intended to do more work on the auto updater, but there was a lot of pre-order customers who thought, you know what, it would be great if I didn't have to keep downloading and checking 25 gigabytes worth of assets. Couldn't I choose which assets to download, or any or none? And so we listened to that and we thought, you know what, that's kind of important. If you're having to struggle to get these updates that we release every Friday to pre-order users, then we don't want you to struggle. We just want you to get on and check out the latest stuff. Maybe you've got your own assets that you're working on. And so we added this. So this is the new and improved UI, and I'm going to do a little demonstration of it. Hopefully it won't take too long. I'm not going to go through it if I accidentally choose a really large one, but as you can see right away off the bat the layout's changed. I'm going to tick all these off, and as you see, the only mandatory download that you need to worry about now is the core files, which currently is 9 gigabyte. Now that sounds like a lot, and I scrolled through the files to find out, you know, I thought our core would be like 2 gig, you know, tops. But it turns out we have a lot of what I would call library assets as well. You know, things like lots of textures so that you can choose from, and lots of terrain textures and things like that. And it's the images, it's those image files that really can bloat up an installer. So it may be a case that we, and I'm sure it's the case, we'll continue to refine these categories so you can remove even more assets from the core, so your core download gets smaller and smaller. The good news is, within that 9 gigabytes, we very rarely change things. A couple of files, so your actual auto update should be relatively quick. But just going to show that 9 gigabytes where we are right now. Of course, as I said, we'll probably continue to play with that. And these are all the asset collections that we added over, say, the last 5-7 weeks. But now they're actually, you can choose. It's up to you whether you choose them. Now, at the moment, this is my actual install. As you can see, it's 7:30. It's not the one I'm working on this week. And I think I have the I have the desert, I have the tree, and I have the fence collection. What we're working on today, in fact right now, and will be available this Friday's build, is it remembers the asset selections that you've made. So the next time you're in the auto updater, you'll see the ones you've got and the ones you've not got. And the idea, and it will work by Friday, is that you can toggle on and off. So if you had one ticked and then you untick it and then do your verify files, it removes the asset collection from your local collection. It lets you manage just how much you want to store locally and how much you just want to keep on the server until you need it. So that's the general idea. You'll notice the layout's changed in other ways too, but I'm not going to bore you with that. What I'm going to do is select desert and what was the other one? Yeah, tree and fence. That's my current configuration. What I'm actually going to do is pick one more. So I'm going to pick a small one. Here we go. Maybe, yeah, Shantytown collection. I'm going to tick that one as well. We click verify files. You'll notice already our UI is changing once again. Now we've got the ability to pause. the download. If it's a really big download and you want to pause it, maybe doing a Skype call or something like that. This is something going to integrate into the UI at some point. I don't like the idea that it's like a message box. I'd like it integrated into the UI. But it's a big warning to say, look, there's a potential deletion and cleaning of your program files, GameGuru Max area. Are you absolutely sure you want to proceed? We say that because you might be storing files inside this folder. You shouldn't do. It's right protected, but just making sure that if you have to put anything in there, it's in danger of being deleted. So I'm saying yes, absolutely. First thing it does, it talks to the server and it sees what the file differences are. As you can see, it's not downloading 14 gig. It's just detected that only 911 megabytes needs downloading, because those are the changes, or in this case, the additions of the Shantytown collection. And you can see it pretty closely matches. And then it proceeds to download. And we've now got two progress bars. We've got the overall download progress, which is the one at the top, and then in the background, we're actually downloading 8 files at the same time, and it picks the largest of those files and displays that on the second progress bar. But what it basically means is that there's always activity going on. There's no, in the previous auto updater, there was a kind of a pause where you thought, is anything happening? Well, the progress bar makes sure that the screen's always moving, always things happening, and we've provided all the information we think you might need when you're doing the auto update process. And as I said, you can pause and resume anytime you want. And of course, the next time you come into the auto updater, if you then decide you want to add more assets or remove them, it's more than just grab the latest update. Now you can configure what local files your computer is storing. And we've improved other little bits and pieces like the error reporting. It now puts it in the writables area instead of trying to put it in the program files where you don't really want to put anything writable in there. Obviously, except when you're doing a big auto update from our official server files. So I think that covers all the bits I would like to talk about right now. Obviously, you want to get your hands on it so you actually get what you've been asking for, which is full control of exactly what assets you download onto your computer each update. And typically, if you're not interested in assets and you untick everything, and you just have the mandatory core files one as part of the auto update process, I don't think that'd be in fact, it'd be practically instantaneous between doing the scan and maybe grabbing a new executable, a couple of executables and a few additional core files. Should be relatively quick from this Friday onwards. So hopefully that's a big tick box for our community, and now we can just focus on quick updates with lots of functionality improvements. So that's the auto updater. Looking forward to releasing that to all pre-order users on Friday. It's anytime from 6 PM. I usually do some paranoid testing in and around that time, and if I feel it's not quite ready, I do more testing and then I release it sometime after 6 PM British Summer Time on Friday. So while that's ticking along, what I'm going to risk doing is running this, which is my internal version, because I want to show you a few more things. Not a lot, just a few things. So this is the update. As you can see, auto updater, we've added a new Merkle. I'm going to show you that now, and maybe a few extra objects. Now we've got a smart object system. If you don't want to know what a smart object is, look at last week's broadcast. They're pretty cool. I'm just going to show you another one that we've added recently. So if I go to add and then camp, you can see we've now got a campfire. Same sort of thing. A smart object isn't just one object, it's a composite of multiple objects and game effects. So just like you saw in the candle last time, you've now got an image of a campfire. You have the particle effect, which is coming off the object, and you might notice there's like a light. Yeah, it's actually attaching a light to it as well. It's basically a composite creation. We call them smart objects. If I just zoom in a little bit more, because our artists are always busy giving us challenges, you may notice that there's a little bit of emissiveness coming on around these logs. The great thing about emissiveness is once the emissive texture has been created by the artist, we have some control over the emissive strength in code, in the engine itself. So I've not done it yet, but I have been thinking about what if we could actually get the script, you know, the behavior, to fluctuate the emissive term, so actually this log would glow you know, and flicker along with the other effects that you've placed. But not promising anything, I just think it's so easy to do, just to tie it into a bit of logic, and it just makes the campfire even more realistic. But what is it you want to show, Lee? You've just said you're not doing any more assets. Well, that's not what I really wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you is the new marker system. Because we're going to cut some internal members who are saying, oh, it's very difficult to place anything. I didn't see it, but I thought, okay, I will pander to the request. So this was the argument. This was the logic. You've put in your candle, and now you want to put a little flame on top of it and then a light above that. The difficulty some people were having is that you don't really know where this particle is. How do you make sure that this particle is exactly on top of there? You only get one view, so how do you know you're in front of it or behind it or all the rest of it? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that now with the new system. So let's just change it to a flame, and we'll make it a bit smaller, sort of a candle sort of thing. And then what we're going to do is position it up over here. You'll notice it right away, probably, those are already familiar with this. And I drag it around. What is this? It's a line. Now that line stretches from the center, mesh center of the object, right down to a surface. Looks for a surface and then it stops. So that basically gives you your XZ locating position. So, and because it's actually culled on the Z buffer, you'll actually see that's right in the center of the thing. You already know, Luke, it's absolutely in the center of there. So now we can get the Y, drop that down to there, and you already know it's not miles behind there, it's actually right where you want it in. It's the same with the light. You drop in a light, give it a color, give it a range, maybe give it a behavior, so we'll give it a flame light flicker. We'll move it up a little bit like this, and then we go to XZ, and again the light lets you it just lets you place it right there, right on top where you're going to need it. Before that, you'd kind of use the shadow of the light to figure out the shadow's casting straight down, you know it's generally above. And as you can see, it's aligned all the way round. And just to show you the finishing touches, we can say group all three together, make a group of it like that. Select this, save group, give it a name, so I'm going to call it Lee's New Candle. And then you can set up the preview, so I'm going to do a red one, save to the object library, select that, and there's my candle that I created, like so. As you see, it's just like the campfire. It's a single smart object now, composite number of objects, and as I said, you can now treat that as your Lee's New Candle object. So I can put another one in and another one in, create a bit of a ritual. And that's the beauty of smart objects. You don't have to add 20 lights, 20 particle effects. Once they're a smart object, they're just treated like a regular game object, only they're slightly smarter. So yeah, long story short, I guess, I just wanted to show you the new line that you've got, so it actually places directly down on the XZ plane, and hopefully that will come in pretty handy. So now I'm just looking at the clock. I do quite a lot of talking, don't I? But maybe let's assume I was actually 1 minute late to start talking, so that puts us exactly on 15 minutes. I'm pretty pleased with that. But I've also promised that I'm going to answer some of your questions. I'm sorry if that wasn't obvious. I usually make a point of it when we start these broadcasts that you can ask your questions, and I'm looking for question marks. But I think we have a pretty dedicated group in our weekly Wednesday chats, and I'm sure there's plenty of questions. So let's have a look and spend a couple of minutes answering those, and the ones I don't get to, which I apologise now, I will answer in the forums after this broadcast, along with a recording of this, so everyone can see it. If they don't see it live, they'll see it later on. Listen to the answers I'll provide today, and I'll actually read the answers that I can't get to, because obviously we don't want me talking for an hour. Better to get me back into coding. So first question is in Russian. Thank you. Honestly, I don't speak. I speak bad English. So I will answer that one. Sasha, I'll answer that in the forums after I've done Google Translate. Next question. Can anyone hear me? Question mark. Will Max be using third-party AI, or is it being developed in-house? That first question worries me. Have I been talking for 15 minutes? La 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 la. I think everyone would have been saying, wow, we can't hear anything, but oh my god, I love this. Unless you love silence, everyone can hear me. So thanks for that worrying first question. I'm going to proceed as if everyone can hear me. So question from Nomad Soul. Will Max be using third-party AI, or is it being developed in-house? Some third parties, some in-house. The pathfinding is using Recast Detour, industry standard pathfinding for the discerning gentleman. But everything else has been done in-house. The new visual logic system, the new way to create logic without having to script. Lots of things I'd really like to talk about but can't. I want to get it finished and working and great. Then I can show it off. But yeah, a lot of it's been done in-house. Don't worry. It's going to be good. Just in case past records is not going to fill you with confidence. It's really good. I think you'll like it. But I can't talk about it just yet. Maybe in about 3, 4, 5 weeks. So is this a question? Okay, so thanks GameGuru. You've translated and answered. Wonderful. Here's a question from DJ LS Lee. Question, any update on the terrain? Also, are you aware of the trees killing FPS? Thank you. Terrain is coming along really nice, and hopefully in the next weeks I'll be able to show you some of it. We've really tackled some really serious problems about how do you make terrain look awesome, and we're winning. We're really winning on some of those questions. Not quite ready to show. We want to show lots of different terrain themes as well, so hold back just a little bit longer and then we'll be able to talk all about the new terrain. Once it goes out on a Friday build, you will be getting terrain. You'll be able to use terrain for all the rest of the time up to release. So yeah, just a little bit longer, peoples. This is the question. This is a long question. No question mark. Here's a question mark. Belidos, gaming classic or max question mark. I presume that refers to previous. La 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 la. Here we go. This from Felix PR. Will there be any way to change how weapons behave? I mean, whether it uses raycaster projectiles, and if so, will there be an easy way to change the spread, speed, and how gravity affects projectiles? There will not be an out-of-the-box weapons maker in GameGuru Max. You will be able to configure all the aforementioned things and a lot more, but you're going to have to dive into Notepad and play around with text files. So I would say, just for the majority, there is no way to radically change the weapons that you get given out of the box with GameGuru Max or is provided in add-on packs later on. It takes a lot of skill to create models, animate them, apply sound effects, set the settings of those weapons just right. It's an enormous set of skills you've got to bring to the party. But we are creating a template and some template files and a guide which shows you how to create your own weapons if you want to take up that challenge. But no, there won't be an out-of-the-box weapon maker. And I only say that for the majority of people who think, if I say, oh yeah, you can change everything, then and they don't know you have to go into Notepad and then scratch your head. So for the majority of people, no, you won't be able to make radical changes to weapons. You'll just have to wait until someone does a really cool weapon, and then you can put it into GameGuru Max. Okay, looking for a question mark. Looks like there's an internal question and answers thing going on, so I have to skip certain question marks. But that's fine, I think I'm up to it. I'm up to the challenge. Okay, do we have any questions? Here's Synchro63, thank you. Is there any reason why ambient settings ET cannot be saved, or why it is disabled? To test anything later, I have to reset all the visuals every launch. Yeah, let's carry that conversation on in the forums, or maybe even drop me an email. We are playing with ambient settings quite aggressively right now for the purposes of the terrain work that we're doing. And yes, ambience is also presenting us with some opportunities to improve it. But I imagine you're asking, if I set my scene up and then save my level and reload my level, surely those settings should remain the same. Yes. If that is not the case, it's a bug, and it should go into the issues board with a good step-by-step so I can reproduce it. It will be a bug, we'll fix it, and then happy days, your ambient settings will be behaving themselves. Here's a question from Loretta M. Will classic GameGuru projects be importable into Max virtual reality project? For the most part, yes. Not 100% forward compatibility. Things like the old character creators won't come across. behaviours of old scripts might misbehave in the new GameGuru Max logic system. But certainly things like your levels, you know, you created a terrain, you've added some objects, those would import into GameGuru Max. Then you can finish them up, fix them up, and then play them in VR. That should be quite exciting, actually. Digging out your old GameGuru classic stuff and playing them in VR. So yeah, I'm also looking forward to that. Oh, I've just jumped a little bit. Right, I'm back on. La 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 la. So Skull Kid Gaming, I don't know whether this is a question to me or a question, so I'll rescan later and then maybe answer it in the forums. So a question mark at the end of this one. DGLS Lee, no offence here, but the particles are nothing like flames, so do we get old classic decals to animate with particles? Those particles came straight out of the particle editor. I just grabbed 12 at random and just dropped them in just for placeholders. I also want to see real flames, I want to see real smoke, I want to see correct density and matching up with our smart objects. So don't worry too much about that. We are actually already looking at more of a decal animation thing for things like explosions, but we're still going to use the particle system for secondary effects like sparks and smoke and stuff like that. So don't worry too much, this is not final. It just shows that we have a fully working particle system, and it's up to us and our artists to go back and do some really great particles for you to just pull out of the box. So don't worry about that at all. Looking for our quest journeys from Jaybird Max. Can you add this Z-line on everything? You'll have to expand on that maybe in the forums later on. I presume you mean if you highlight 50 objects, they all have a line coming down. That's currently not how it works. It's only for single selections, so you can sort of do a fine placement selection. Don't know why you would want 50 lines on a 50 object selection, but please let me know. Looking at the time. Oh wow, I'm 24 minutes in. Someone's going to be very angry with me, perhaps. So I'm answering 2 more questions from people who have not got a question answered live. So let's see who's not had a question. Here we go. This is from Cedric. Hello, will GameGuru support Oculus? Certainly will. It supports anything OpenXR currently has run times for. So look forward to running on Oculus Rift S. The Steam stuff, is it the Value or the Vive? Not the Vive. Oh yes, probably the Vive 2. The top one. The Valve Index. That's it. So anything OpenXR, yeah, we're just supporting OpenXR. It's a really cool system. You write it once and it takes care of compatibility with all the different controllers and headsets that are out there. And it does include the Oculus Rift S as well. And another question, who's not asked a question yet? Here's one. This is from T.S. Filgel. Can we fully customize the... Oh, sorry, that is not how you pronounce it. Can we fully customize the in-game HUD elements? Absolutely. We're going to have a whole editor which lets you drag in and you get to configure where lives are placed, or score, or health, or oxygen levels, or your ammo or weapon loadout, and all the kind of stuff that you might want on your HUD of your game. You get to move those around and customize them and get it just the way you want it, so your game will look completely different from everybody else's. That was a big request from Classic, and hopefully we'll do it justice when we put it into Max, and I'll be able to demonstrate it down the road. So that, I apologise for those who thought this would be a max 20 minutes and then get out the door. It is going to be a little bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I threw in enough answers to justify you waiting around an additional 5 minutes. Just to call out to everybody that those who are not pre-order users, you can get access to what I've been demonstrating today come Friday if you're a pre-order user. And right now we're offering a 25% discount as a thank you for helping us whilst we continue to develop GameGuru Max. And in case you just strayed in onto our YouTube channel, this broadcast is done every Wednesday at 4 PM at the currently British summertime. So we do all the broadcasts every Wednesday, and then we release our builds every Friday. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week if you like, when I'm going to present even more functionality. Lots of nice cool things to show off. So until then, have a great rest of week, and I'll speak to you all soon. Goodbye.